and welcome to another episode of the Ultra Happy Podcast. I am your host, ultra runner and coach Tania, and your magnificent co-host, Andy.
Ta-da.
Yeah.
Hello.
Excellent. So how has everyone been? It's been an exciting couple of weeks.
Who are you talking to?
To all the people that are listening. To you.
Anyone? It's me and you.
To you. So last week, I feel like we didn't have a proper time to update you because we had a fantastic guest.
We did.
And we didn't have like the proper time. We're just rushing at the beginning to give you the update. But we are 6 weeks away from the first desert. So I am feeling all the feelings already, apart from, obviously, as you know, we're moving. So on top of all that stress of the race and, you know, having to get ready with the race and all the logistics and newsflash, very sad news. I think you've seen me on my social that I posted that I went to the South African embassy to get my visa. Well, we have a sad story. I didn't get it. So, yeah, that was very sad. So that leaves us with another couple of options that I am studying and kind of thinking about if I needed to go directly to Namibia. So from Dubai to Frankfurt, and then Frankfurt, Namibia, there's one flight. And it's great to have people that know about this because there is a WhatsApp group with all my other peers and they are helping me so much already. They're like, hey, this is this flight. So they were able to investigate and there's another option for me. They helped me in this one. And that is going to Ethiopia instead of Frankfurt. So that's another option. So at this point...
Which is something I said right in the beginning, by the way.
I thought, well, they do require a visa, but it's way easier to get.
I'd said to you the best route to go surely would be through somewhere in North Africa. I actually thought it would be Morocco or Egypt, but because it's obviously...
Addis Ababa.
Addis Ababa.
Yeah. So that's another one. So we'll update you on that one. Mm-hmm. That just happened this week actually, and then now I'm kind of like studying other options. So that is really exciting. I still don't have a flight, but you know we're getting ready.
I think see how obviously because we've got so much kind of going on and the race is coming up. When you say 6 weeks to the race. It's almost a bit. It's a wee bit nerving for me, right? But when you say 4 weeks to the move, I'm starting to go like that. Oh,
you're starting to get. I know. Yeah. So we're 4 weeks to the move, 6 weeks to the first desert. Yeah. So with those, with that 6 weeks to the race, I need also to start planning, the move, and also the peak training week is going to start, shaping, taking part probably in the next week or two. Yeah. No, 2 or 3 weeks, sorry. So in 2 or 3 weeks, I need to start planning my peak week, which I think I had a fantastic idea that I need to do long back-to-back kind of thing. Runs with the backpack, with practicing, obviously all what I've shared with you guys, the nutrition and the training and the gear and all that. And here in Scotland, we have great long trails that you can really do really easily, kind of break the distance. Yeah. We've done one walk before to the West Highland Way, for example.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, it's beautiful. And
I think it's actually one of the famous ones around the world because a lot of people from the States come and do it.
A lot of people come and it's a famous one to trek and trail because it's very easy to like really, trek or walk or wherever, 15, 20K and then have a sleepover and then, so on.
And the scenery is beautiful as well.
And the scenery is, if you pick a good kind of season, it is really beautiful. Yeah. And there's also another ones I did for the 100-miler. I did the Great Glen Way. Yeah. That was amazing. I recommend that to anyone if you're even preparing for a long race, if you live in Scotland or if you're coming to visit to the UK. Do that one as well. It's all around Loch Ness.
Right, okay.
So it's from Fort William to Inverness. So you're crossing all UK. Well, Scotland. Not all UK.
It's a bit tricky.
Just Scotland from the nearest part, like from the closest point to the closest point. So it's like 100 and something kilometers. So I broke it in 3 days, and it's an excellent. And again, same thing. I did like 20K. You can have sleep. There's hotels, there's hostels, whatever. You can refuel, relax, and then you go and hike or walk. There was plenty of people hiking it, by the way, because I stayed in hostels along the way. And I found it's also like really good people and really cool people, and they were just, really, really fun.
And actually, it's set up for that because they've got bothies and stuff like that as well. So bothies in Scotland are like these wee sort of, I guess, kind of bills that you can go and stay in.
That's the secret honesty boxes.
No. There's bothies dotted about in all these places as well that you can go and get shelter as long as you know where
shelter,
they are. So they're like sort of just. Some of them are wood built, some of them are brick built, but they're kind of,
But when we did the walk, you were like, oh my God, what is this? The honesty boxes.
I didn't know that these things existed. Remember?
Tell the people what's a honesty box.
So an honesty box, right? And I don't know, I'm sure they do them in other places as well.
Know.
But when we were doing the West Highland Way, the day that we were actually doing it, we were expecting it to be rainy and the sun came out. It was roasting. But we had water and we had food and stuff. But by the time that we were getting close to one of the areas, which was, I think it was Balmaha, we're getting close to, we were getting a bit knackered. We drank our water and ate our food. There wasn't much about. And we stumbled upon this honesty box. So the honesty box,
I love them.
It's just pretty much a box, and it's got some food and some drinks in it. So it's got like, I think there was Mars bars and there was some sandwiches and there was like cans of Coke and water and different things.
They're all different.
And what you do is just put money in it, take what you want and go.
Yeah.
But then, about a mile down the road, we stumbled upon an honesty, basically I could put it as shop. That it was like this built sort of cabin.
Like a
that what you done
shop.
is you went in and you could pick what you wanted and you just leave however much it is you want. And there's like tables and all that in the background. I was like,
I know.
This is amazing. Who knew that the ultra runners and the hikers were so trustable?
I know. We are. So you just, grab whatever and you pay back.
Yeah.
Like they usually have put there how much is each thing. So it's really, really lovely.
Yeah. And in actual fact, on the way further down, just before we got close to the end, I didn't actually see it. We had noticed that there was a shop not far away from an honesty box. We went and bought a few things and popped them in.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, so people, I guess, from the the neighbors and people that live around, they do, and they supply these honesty boxes, and there are some really big ones, some really tiny ones. Just so it's great to do that route because even if you're not very experienced, and if you kind of like. Kind of misjudged, how much water, whatever, there will be there like something to save you along the route. So totally that's great.
Restored my faith in humanity. Those honesty boxes. I loved it, didn't I?
So that was actually the West Highland Way. That was one of the first races I did when I moved to Scotland, the West Highland Way. And that one put me out twice already within 95 miles. So I thought as a goodbye to Scotland, I think I'm going to do, I think I haven't told you, by the way. I'm going, sorry.
There's definitely a theme in this podcast, isn't there?
Oh yeah, by the way, I forgot to mention, I'm going to disappear for like 3 days. I was going to do it in 4, but coach said just 3.
Is this the training camp?
Yeah, so I'm going on a training camp. I was
expecting something.
Yeah, so 3 days you'll be, free to do whatever you want. And I'll be...
Me and the dog will be in a pub.
Taken there. West Highland Way, I think. It will be, a nice way to kind of like do the whole full circle of...
Bye.
Yeah, yeah.
That'll be good.
So hopefully then the weather is nice, and I think that's going to be my last, like I said, my last run in the West Highland Way and my goodbye, and that will be the training camp for the desert. So in the next couple of weeks, I'll be doing that. So hopefully I can come back and report you how that goes. And so this last weekend, I had such a moody weekend. I feel like I was like in such a bad mood just because it was raining and it was cold and I was hungry.
Not that I noticed.
And I was just like, I had like almost like a tantrum on Saturday. I was like, I do not want to run. I do not want to go out. I was like, just so over it. It's getting to that stage in the training that you've been doing it for so long, and it just the worst is about to come. So I need to just.
But interestingly enough, when you said to your coach Sarah, she said that's normal at this stage. Yeah. And because I was thinking, that's Tania. not very happy.
I feel like if I didn't,
which didn't make it better for me, to be fair, but at least it made it better for you.
But you know what? I recognize that I'm moody and something is happening because that's not usually my mood. Like I'm usually quite,
Even the dog stays out the way.
I know. So it's like, oh, something is happening. I don't like it. But I think that's like Sarah was saying, my coach is like, it's so important to have in these moments a coach because then you can, bounce to her like, hey, I'm not feeling great. And she's like, it's absolutely fine. It's absolutely normal. You're coming back from a travel, which is also a little bit taxing. And you're just ramping up the volume. And it's normal to be hungry and it's normal to be sore and it's normal to just get there. If I didn't have that coach, I would be like, oh, maybe I'm doing so much. Or maybe I should.
Yourself.
I started like, even as a coach myself, I think if I would coach myself, I would go into that mood and it would make it even worse because if I'm already angry and frustrated and confused, like all those thoughts would be, they wouldn't even help me. So having a coach, so I spoke to Sarah and she was like so comforting. So I know like that would give me like a nice warm hug to my soul. And I was like, okay, I think I can do it. And then that changes your mood. I was like, oh, that's fine. I'm doing good. I know it was super slow. And because obviously we went to Dubai and I couldn't do my run properly because it was not super warm, but we had a lot of things to do. And the timings we were knackered. I think the time changes and, a little bit jet lagged. And we had a lot of things to do.
Other things that was going on,
and we had to walk a lot. Like Dubai is a place that you walk miles and miles. Everything is so far away. Even going to the mall or going to the metro, the subway, you're just walking like we said a little bit on the previous podcast. Yeah. Like you were clicking in 20 kilometers, like half marathons just walking because there's so much to walk and we had to do so many things. And there was a moment there where I was like, oh, I should be training. Like I should not be doing this. Like I should be going out and putting, proper runs and I'm here like walking. And then obviously I was not doing like quality runs, let's say, because I was tired at the end of the day and I couldn't wake up in the morning. So I was doing my runs after dinners, which is great because it's very safe, obviously, Dubai. And after dinner, there's a lot of people running actually in the evenings out there because it's like the time of the day where it's a little bit cooler. So, but I was like feeling a little bit like, I feel like I should be doing better, But I recognize that mood and I just like snap out of it right away saying, instead of going into that black rabbit hole of, oh, I shouldn't be doing it, I just decided to change it to, you know what, it's great that I'm practicing long time on the feet, being on feet. Maybe I'm not running and my running was really, really shit because I was going super slow, more like slower than usual. Like I did like 5K in an hour. Like that was so bad. Plus, obviously, I was stopping to take pictures and I was just also enjoying.
Listen, to be fair and to your credit, you always knock the runs out anyway, even when you're not feeling like it. I think that no matter where we've been, and even there's been times that I've been surprised that you've went out and got them done. At Austria, for example, when we were there, so you were still going out, like trying to get.
And I think in Dubai, I was like, I'm just gonna like not go out tonight. Remember, I said, it was really late. It was like 9 or 8 or 10. I was like, I'm not gonna go. I'm just gonna do it tomorrow. And then I'm like, we walked into the apartment. I start changing. Like I thought you were not going. I'm like, I'm just gonna go for an hour. I just need to put it in.
But it's easier to not do it, obviously, right? But that is where, to be fair, I give you credit all the time. Is you do have the switch in you, and it's something we've talked about in the podcast quite a bit about consistency, mental strength and all that sort of stuff. You've got that, but we also talked about is it just becomes like brushing your teeth. You just get
it's
up
just
and
something
go
like
and do it. You have to do it.
I need
it's
to
just
do it.
second nature. So do your credit.
So maybe turning not an ideal situation. I think the whole take away from this is turning into not an ideal situation because that was like, let's say a trip, but it can be everyday struggles like, oh no, you couldn't get your car, so you couldn't go to the hills to your trail. I don't know, just turning a not ideal situation into an opportunity. I think it's so like, see the good thing about whatever, that struggle on that or that barrier that you think it's a barrier, but it's actually an opportunity. It's something that you need to practice as well. Because I was able to right away snap out of it. I was like, no, that's not like the mindset that I want that to have this training, week. So I just was able to turn it or flip it like, hey, okay, what's the bad thing? Let's just focus in what is a good thing. So that's also something that you need to practice, and you can practice in your training because that is going to happen during your race. That is for sure. When you're like about to, I don't want to keep going or whatever, and then you need to have that, call out yourself and say, you know what, no, this is an opportunity. So this is episode 10, by the way.
I can't believe it's 10.
I know I was going to say,
but actually, when you think about it, we've had 3 guests.
A lot.
We've had, obviously, doing 10 podcasts. And when we started out with it, I remember being not doubtful, but a bit sceptical about it. But actually, it's been great.
I'm enjoying speaking just here with you.
Don't know about that, but actually, I think
you're not enjoying speaking with me.
Tanya,
oh my god,
Tanya, you're always talking. It's like, but actually, I think what's been good is for me is that like the feedback we've had and people talking about it. And
by the way, we're here in Instagram. I'm connecting live because I thought if anyone wants a question, chat with us or anything, people that are connected online, shoot us a message or something. That's...
You'll catch a picture of my nose by the looks of it.
I know, you're not very... But you know what? Just, if you're just, catching a little bit, you can obviously going to go and see the full episode later. But just say hello is really cool just to have people live.
But I think it's been good in the fact that people are coming up and saying that they've listened to it and they've enjoyed it, and actually people saying, oh, that was quite interesting that you were talking about like the mindset thing and all that, or when you were talking about X, Y, and Z. And I never for a minute thought that would happen. Do you know what I mean? That people would enjoy
people making fun of me as well.
Right.
That's great. And that's been really good.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. We banter. I have really tough skin, so I do have a little bit of. I know I do have a dark humor. I'm like quite thick skin, so I love that. But like you say, we've talked about mental strength, the training, nutrition, and the specificity of this training. So the rucksack and all that. So we've talked a lot, and we brought you really incredible professionals on every of these areas. So I am not, I don't know everything. And then obviously, and the more I know, I feel like it's a cliche, but I feel like the more I know, the more I realize I know nothing. So it's great to have these professionals to kind of like, help you or, just talk to.
Yep.
That's
and a big shout
like,
out to them because I thought all those were
they've all been amazing.
All been really good.
So it's been very valuable information. So please go back. If this is your first episode, you need to go back and watch them all. They've been really, really, really good info in there. And it kind of like made me reminded me a little bit, like I've told you, and you've probably seen, obviously you've said that the trail community is so friendly. Like we are the friendliest bunch. But I did wanted to have a wee story that happened to me right when I moved here to Scotland. I was just starting my ultra journey, and obviously, right when I moved, I wanted to connect with ultra runners and people from here because I just to know where people would go running, and I was able to connect with a few ultra runners very at the beginning of my journey here, and I feel like yes. There is a lot of friendly people. I'm not going to say that they were not friendly or they were. I'm going to say that they were speaking from a side of love. But some of the information they were telling me, and now I understand it was not the great. Like it was not the best. So, for example, there were like a couple of people saying like, "Oh, I think we said this as well. You're not putting the miles, right?" So a lot of comments, a lot of pressure of running more. There was a lot of chat of, oh, you're heavy. You should be a little bit lighter. And there was also chat about, oh, you should lose your period. Like you're not like good runner or lit runner if you're still having your periods, like almost like holding that as a badge of honor. I felt like they were like very proud ghettos that they didn't have a periods, and that didn't sound like right to me because I have at this moment as well. I had a great coach in that moment, and everything that they would say, I will turn around. You remember my chats with Tosco at that moment, and I will with my ex-coach, and I would say, "This, this is what people are saying. Is this right?" And it was great to have someone again professional to tell me, "Hey, that chat is not great," and I'm just putting out there that it's great, and I'm saying that these people maybe didn't want to. They were not meaning hurt or mean to me. They were just. That was their experience in that moment, and maybe they didn't know better, and they were just speaking from a side of love, and they wanted to help me and support me, and that's how they thought they would do it. Yeah. But for me, it was just a little bit. Now that I'm obviously. That kind of pushed me to start asking Tosco, and that's why I started studying more. And that was so funny because that kind of like initiated the love of me learning and reading more, because that didn't sound right in my head. I was like, that is not like, there was something that it doesn't, obviously sound good. So that I went to research a lot, and that's how I fell in love into this endurance and this topic, and that's how I turned into a coach actually. Yeah. So that kind of had a positive impact, let's say. But I'm just a little bit worried, and these people are still obviously out there, or hopefully they change their heart or their minds at this point from all this information, that there's now more information out there. But I'm just scared that people that don't go out and research, they take this by heart and be like, oh yeah, I should do more miles. And then they go out and then, you know what I mean?
I think that's why it's good, like podcasts like this exist, and not necessarily ours, but other podcasts like this, is that there's two things I think with it. Is the first thing that when you start out in your journey, no matter what it is, whether it be ultra running or whether it be BMXing or whatever it could be, whatever. What you'll do is you'll come across people in the beginning that will give you their opinion on things. Mm-hmm. Now, although that may work for them, it may not work for you, and they may have heard information or disinformation somewhere that they abide by, and it may work for them, it may not work for you. And which is one of the things that I kind of took from some of the chats that we've had with Sarah and Alba.
I think all the professionals kind of like had that in common.
But I think the second point is it naturally, no matter what you do, you become more informed. Mm-hmm. The more informed you become, the more you reflect on some of these bits of information and think, no, what, that wasn't right. Mm-hmm. And what it does, and I don't think that the people who give these bad, maybe not bad bits of information are doing it out of malice or in a bad way. It's just they understand that works for them, and their perception is it should work for everybody.
Yeah. So, like you were saying, all the professionals that we have had here speaking, they all kind of have that in common, saying like, you are obviously unique, and you have to find whatever kind of suits you, your training, and makes you happy.
Ultra happy.
Ultra happy. So it takes a while. So the only thing is like, don't lose consistency and don't lose focus of what you want, and then just kind of like maybe follow also that gut feeling a lot of times, because I feel like you know what's best for you, and your gut or your instinct can tell you, oh, like in that moment for me was, oh, I don't think this sounds right. And like I said, all these professionals that, the few professionals obviously that we've spoken in this podcast with, they have in common saying that. And their advice when we were asking them, what is your advice for someone that is starting, or someone that maybe doesn't have the means to go and spend all this money in training or all this money in a nutritionist? What would you advise? All the advices we got back were things that were so simple and so basic. Sarah, like the strengthening, what strengthening, workout I should be doing, or how should I? And she said, just stick to the basic 4 or 5 lifts and just keep it very simple. Yeah. Like that is it. And then for Alvar, when we asked him, like, what would be your advice to, get a better nutrition and all that, and he just simply said, add more pages to your plate.
Add more color to your plate.
Add more color to your plate. So there's like simple ways to to do it without having to spend maybe a fortune if that's not what's in your
I think it's difficult for people to navigate. We've discussed about disinformation before, so I won't necessarily use that word, but I think just now it's so difficult for people to navigate what is the right and what's the wrong, because there's so much out there. And actually, if you go and you read about studies, say for example, on nutrition or on X, Y, and Z, they'll all give you the viewpoint that they have and disregard the others. So what they'll do is they'll look at it and try and pitch you what's right about theirs. So it sounds like in some cases that you may have 10 different books that are all saying that this is right and this is perfect and this is the way you should do it.
Yeah.
But actually, in reflection, and for me especially through this podcast, and you touched upon it there, it's actually the most simple methods at work.
Exactly. Just working on consistency, like something that the thing that works for you, and then just keep doing it and repeating it day after day. But you need to like it, because otherwise you're not going to stick with it. And then what is the whole point in just going into that loop of, I'm going to do a race, I'm going to prepare really hard 6 months, and then after the race, I'm just going to stop working out, I'm just going to just stop doing everything, and then just, lose fitness because you didn't do anything in 3-4 months, and then you have another goal, and then you start, getting ready for that, instead of being like fit all your life, or try to be fit, or try to keep fitness level consistent. And then, yes, whenever you have a bigger goal, or you have a race or something, you can then just up the notch a little bit. And then instead of working in circles, then you can really see a progression, because you're always going to maintain that fitness level. But all the objective for this, from this chat and from the podcast, we hope I put it out there in these 10 episodes, as the objective for me is that to share with you again that I am not I'm not a special human, or even though Samantha said, your mind is not right.
Maybe special in other ways.
Special in other ways.
Especially mental.
Especially mental. But I hope that you feel motivated to throw yourself into the fire. I feel like make a challenge for yourself to really put yourself in, uncomfortable situations. And in this case, for me, it was ultra running. I think ultra running is an excellent avenue to do so, because you put yourself obviously in an uncomfortable position for many hours inside a controllable space, because obviously even though it's uncontrollable a little bit, there is a lot of things that are controllable. It's not, you're not in danger. Well, but it's a controllable space, and you're training for something. And so I love that, and I hope that everyone, or mostly women, and in general, put themselves out there and just try something really difficult. And it doesn't need to be running. Like I said, that was what chose me, and I chose running. But I think you can do it in any sort of part of your life, if it's in business, or if it's in maybe professionally, or with any decisions in your life. And it doesn't matter if you fail in the journey or in the process doing that. You will learn so much about that personal thing, that thing that you were trying to do. And most importantly, you're going to learn so much about yourself. So
I think that one thing, and I hope that it's came across in this podcast, it's not something that you guys out there have been able to visibly see, but I think that, see, for example, when I'm at the gym or I see people out starting to run, I think that they get sometimes a bit foggy and a bit cloudy, because they can't see the future, because they don't know what it's going to be like. Whereas, for example, with you, and we've talked about it in the podcast, I think that it proves that when you stick with it and you keep going at it, you get better, and you go to the next big thing. I remember your first race.
I was going to say, you probably can really tell people how that has changed from,
I remember your very first race and going to your very first Spartan, even in Mexico. And I think, and back then, you were the same as everybody else. You were a bit clouded by, I don't know how this is going to pan out. At that time, the ultra running thing was never on. But what, again, I hope came across is sticking with it, you get progress. And every time that you progress, you get better. And every time that you progress and get better, you learn a bit more. And once you start to get that knowledge, that knowledge really pushes you on forward.
You can truly say how you have seen it, not from my side, right? You as a person seeing the outside, you have truly seen how that has evolved. So it hasn't been from one day to the next one. So it's not going to happen overnight. It has happened with many years, 5 years.
But I hope that with this podcast that people have, it's one of the things that maybe they can take away from it. This is turning into a summary, isn't it?
I know, but we still have a couple we have a couple of other surprises. So.
But I hope that they can see, and when it's came across and all the conversations we've had and with the guests and with Albar, if you think about, he spoke about when he was with you right at the very beginning all those years ago, that it does, you do move on, it does get better, you do get better, you do improve. There's challenges there, but the challenges make you stronger. And if you do the right reading or the right watching and have the right people around you, then it makes the journey better. Not necessarily easier, but at least you know you can see that there's a finish line somewhere.
So you obviously have seen all this. Hopefully I worked as an example for you, because you've seen it obviously and experienced it. And now that you decided to start running a little bit, since we started the podcast, actually, so that has been 10 weeks. We can count it.
It's been funny, isn't it?
I want to ask you now, what have you learned in this 10-week, really fast process? You went from zero, like running nothing, right, to now just doing 5Ks, just, you know, any
5Ks out all over the place.
Look at him. He's so, and I love that you're like so proud of it. But if there's something, obviously you have a good example. I'm going to put like myself as I was a good example. And then obviously, but how has been your personal, like what have you learned?
Over the podcasts and over
like it just, I mean, and not only in running, in life, because like I said, I think a lot of things kind of like go hand in hand, because you start living this life and then it kind of like spills all over your life as well.
I think that I'm a
putting you in the spot.
No, like, do you know what it is? I'm a pretty steady thinking guy. I think about things quite logically.
Yeah.
Like I'm the one that calms you down and says, right, sit down.
So wondering how that works in your head now.
So that what I can do is I can tell you how it actually works. And that's how the joke, obviously, at the beginning of this was that the ultra runner and the voice of reason.
Yeah.
But I think that,
and the voice of reason.
But I think that from there's things through this podcast that I've definitely taken.
Not the
away.
Podcast, like your running journey.
My running journey. Oh well, my running journey. I guess that. Well, first of all, I was saying this to you the other day, that one of the things that I find better is running for time and not distance.
Yes.
Because do you know what it is? Because
you took my advice.
See, when I was first doing it, I felt pressured to get to a 5K.
Oh, that is gold. Well done. Yes.
I felt pressured to get to a 5K. And see, once actually I'd done the 5K, remember I'd done it in like 40 minutes or whatever, and I was running mental at the end to try and get it. That what I'd realised after speaking to you, and Sarah was on as well, was that take the pressure away from it.
Yep.
Just get on there. If you're on a treadmill, set your time and see what you come out with.
Excellent.
And
I love that.
And actually, as a result, as I tell you, every runner, every other run, I'm getting like an extra bit better, and I'm not actually thinking about it. I'm just going on, setting it for half an hour, because that's what I want to do my 5K within, and now I'm getting over the 5K.
Look at you.
So actually, I quite enjoyed that, and I remember saying a while ago when I talked about doing my 5K that it was about for me, it wasn't necessarily about doing the 5K or the challenge. It was the fact that I used to tell myself that I couldn't run. Whereas now that
so that has changed now.
So that's changed now. That's changed.
Oh wow!
I think that from my running journey as well, when listening to our guests, I think the food thing was dead interesting for me, because I was under the belief that to be a runner and be healthy, you had to be skinny and have a six-pack and all. Do you know what I mean?
Clearly, I am not skinny. Clearly, I have no six-pack.
I know. But actually,
we embrace the food doping here. That's how we like to call it now. Full doping.
But actually,
just fuel your power.
It's about what you eat to make you healthy and give you best performance. So when Albar was on, it was something that struck me right away when he said it, is that, do you know what? See, if you're a power lifter, for example, what you do is your expectations as a guy standing there flexing his muscles with the ripped abs and the chest and all that. But probably he's not going to be the guy that's lifting the heaviest weight. Do you know what I mean? What's happening is a guy who's lifting the heaviest weights maybe got a bit of a belly, he's strong, but what he's doing and he's eating and he's performing to his absolute peak.
Yes.
And I never thought about it like that.
You need to eat to perform.
Yeah, you need to eat to perform. And I think that for me, that was pretty interesting because for me it was always about supplements X, Y, and Z and doing this and doing that.
But calorie deficit and
because I brought up about the calorie deficit thing, remember?
When it's not really maybe what is going to drive you. So absolutely, that's great.
And I think on the food thing as well, one of the things is actually the runner's food isn't as horrible as I thought.
Oh my God. You guys, if you haven't watched that video, that podcast, I can't remember what number is it, 5, 6 or something. Yeah. We tried also, and they tried all the supplements from the runners, and that was hilarious. So
I was absolutely buzzing when I went to cafe.
All right. So did you like those? Yeah.
Well, they were better than I thought, put it that way.
All right.
But also something that I really took from that, from Albar's discussion.
You love nutrition. I'm saying that you love nutrition.
This thing wasn't even about nutrition.
You should study that, and then I can just train, and then you take
but one of the points
he
nutrition. Really resonated with me, and it wasn't about, he was talking about nutrition, but actually when we're talking about life and the changes, is when he said, listen, see when you were a kid, what you done when you were a kid is what made you better as a teenager. Once you were when you were a teenager, what you done is whatever you done, whether it was training or the way that you ate, made you better. So
whatever you're eating or doing right now with your body is preparing you for the next stage of your stage of life. So whatever you do in your teens is going to affect your youth. Whatever you do in your youth is going to affect your early adulthood. Whenever you're doing your adulthood, is going to impact your elderly life. So,
and do you know the interesting thing about that? After he'd said that made me go back and think about, do you know what? I'm quite pleased that what I've done is I put the effort in at the gym, and I put the effort in with my nutrition and all that.
Because you're quite healthy.
Going back the way, you know what I mean, in the past 5, 6, 7, 8 years, because it gave me a sort of good feeling, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, because you're healthy overall. So whenever you started like training now a little bit more.
Remember, to go off topic. This is when we were in Dubai. We went to the pharmacy to get
when you
something.
start like telling a story, I'm like just like started panicking.
This one's about me actually. So we went to the pharmacy. Went to the pharmacy to get heel things because my heel was knackered. Remember? So I rock in, and the wee guy in the pharmacy's looking at me, and I could see him studying me, and I'm like, right, what's up here? Something's dodgy's going down. He's like, I would love to give you a free vitamin test, and I thought, oh, here, what's the catch here?
He just wanted to sell you some vitamins,
He wanted to
right?
sell me vitamins, right, clearly.
Fair
and
enough.
I thought, right, here we go. And then I thought to myself, hold on a minute.
He seen you were a little bit old, so you're like, maybe you need...
I didn't have an arm.
He didn't offer to me. He just offered to you.
But I thought, hold on a minute. I'm pretty confident here. I said to him, well, I'll tell you what, I will do the test. And I actually said to him, and do you know what? And see if the test's not good, I will buy vitamins. I will buy vitamins from you. And he's like, right, okay. So you could see the smile on him from ear to ear.
Like,
and he was skipping over. He's obviously like, this guy, here we go, man.
Here we go.
I know, that's it. So he goes up and he does all these tests. And he's looking at the board and he's like, all right, okay. And I said, I'll be really disappointed if it's not. It's like a pen that he runs on certain places in your body and things.
Very weird.
And he's like, and I could just hear him go like, all right, okay.
You're really good at this.
Okay, right, okay.
Okay, next one.
Okay, next one. And he's like, right, okay, let me just do an extra few. And actually, all my vitamin tests were all perfect.
Like, I was like, he was
raging when he... sorry, wee man, I'll not be able to buy any vitamins from you today since I'm so good.
He's like, oh, that's great that you're so healthy. That's amazing. Like, yeah, you look very happy for him.
But the point is, the reason why I remembered that story there is that just proves to you that what you do beforehand gets you to a better place. Do you know what I mean?
We were laughing at the guy for like a couple of minutes after. Like, poor guy, he thought he had like his sale like closed there, and why you needed to be so healthy?
I know. But back to what we're talking about, I think another thing that I've taken from it, and again from everything everybody said, is not to use that scattergun approach and just do a lot of different things.
Yes, excellent. That's good.
I know that you'd be desperate for me to say that, and actually you don't know what I'd
I told him that I didn't want to know what
and I knew that you would be rubbing your hands when I said that. But the reason I said it, right, is because for me, when I had listened to that, I changed my training, remember?
Yeah, I told you.
Because what I was doing is that I was going into the gym for a while. My dad was a bodybuilder, and my dad is super healthy.
So you have an understanding.
I have an understanding of it, and I was training since I was a kid. And actually, believe it or not, I don't take programs from Tania. I take programs from my dad, advice from my dad. And my dad is really well.
By the looks of it, you're like listening to my advice at least.
But here's the thing, right? So for a long time, I was doing the same thing, and when I was going to the gym, I was doing my weights. I would do sort of push, pull, legs, right? And then what I would do is, in the same day, I would be flinging in cardio as well. Not because anybody told me to do it or to do it not to. I thought it was the right thing because what I was doing. And then we had the discussion about, well, hold on a minute. That's not really right, because what you're doing is you're pushing two things together or pulling two things apart.
Well, then you said you wanted to start running a little bit. So I thought, if you wanted to do that, maybe your distribution should change now because then your objective now is different. Now you do not want to build. Maybe you want to start running. So that's why I decided I gave you my advice.
Yep. But actually, I found that it really worked for me, and not only that, what's happening is I feel like I'm more focused on those days.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Which is good, and I'm feeling differences and I'm seeing differences, and that move my training on.
Yeah.
So to actually separate those, and I know it's a very simple thing about it, but to separate those has made a big difference to me.
Even
but
mentally,
also,
you said.
Even mentally, even mentally.
Right.
But also the fact is that my goal now, I had one goal, and it was to get to the 5K.
5K, yeah.
My next goal
that was fast.
My next goal is 10K.
Oh my God.
And newsflash.
This is the first time I listened to this.
Newsflash. The idea, and I was saying to Tania, is that by the time we get to Cocodona, I can pace her for a bit.
Oh yeah, he has that in his mind. I've heard that.
And who would have thought that I would have done that after this? I don't know, anyway. So next thing that I've taken from this podcast is that our geography is absolutely shocking.
Oh God.
I just don't even want to go there, to be honest. That wasn't great. But no, I think
what was the last one I said? That I was, not Namibia, but the other one?
Oh no. Mongolia is in China, apparently.
Oh yeah. So from last episode, guys, if you watch it back,
me sitting with that as well.
I'm like, the next desert is in China, and then Samantha is like, well, if you want to go to Mongolia through Beijing, China, but the race is in Mongolia. Yeah. So apparently I don't even know where I'm going.
Our geography is not great, and I think that for anybody who is going to do the 5 deserts in the future, what I would advise you to do is go and get a globe and find out where everywhere is.
Maybe I should have done that first.
Because that might have made it easier with the visas and everything.
Well, great. So now when people are asking me, what's the next one? I can't say China anymore because I have it like in my chip, like, oh, next one's China, Gobi in China is like, it's Mongolia, right? It's Mongolia. So yeah.
But I think just for me to close the point, I'm making a question you asked me, sorry. I think from starting to run, I definitely understand the mental strength thing a bit more. Because like I said, in my head, almost running was a gamble for me because I never trusted my ankle. I never thought it was going to be okay.
So it was like more like a confidence builder.
Aye. Well, in my head, I believed it wasn't possible for me because of my ankle. Do you know what I mean? I thought it was going to be a problem. But taking that leap and trying to do it and actually getting
that
to
is so brave.
Taking to the 5K, it made me realise that a lot of these things are in your head. You believe that there's a problem, but actually once you start getting out there, and don't get me wrong, I get, you know yourself.
Yeah, you get a little bit. But I love that because let me just talk about through that because you said you put those limits, your mind limit, right? Yeah. Like, oh, it's my ankle. And that can be anything from anyone. Like, oh, I have kids. No, I don't have the time. Or I don't have the time. Not the kids. Like, let's say they know the time. I'm working. I'm too tired. I'm too busy. Like, that's their limiting belief, right? Or I am very overweight. That one's a big one as well. I hear that one a lot. Oh, I'm not a runner. I'm not a good runner.
My metabolism's slow.
My metabolism's slow. You know, all these limiting beliefs. And I think that is so brave and so courageous that you said, okay, I'm going to try it and see how it goes. So you gave yourself the chance.
To be fair, I was just sick of you listening to you talking about it.
I'm just going to try this thing because she seems crazy over this. I should give it a shot.
Try it, I know.
But I love that you jumped in and dived in and then you actually realized like, hey, there is no, like that limit belief that I had. It's not a limit, actually. So I think that happens with someone that is started running, like
Yeah,
yourself.
everybody
Or
has that, I think.
myself, for example, I thought when I started, I was like, oh my God, 100 miles? I will never. Because when I was, let's say, the first training months that I was doing, and I was doing a half marathon, I will remember watching, obviously, and reading about these people doing 100 miles, and I was like, I will never. I'm just doing to do a marathon, and that's it. Like, that is not possible.
Yeah.
And then here we are.
Yeah.
So I think those limiting beliefs, and then when you start practicing that, and then starting a little bit courageous about one thing, and then you're going to start getting courageous about the other one, and then the other one, because you've proven that yourself that you're wrong. Well, not wrong, but like it's you can break those
I just
beliefs.
thought of something there. I'm going to say probably the most profound thing that I've ever said, right?
Oh my God.
Is that
All
when I
right.
started on this podcast, I said, what is running anyway? It's just putting one foot in front of the other.
And I was
When
like,
actually, the truth is that the bravest thing that you can do if you're not a runner is get out there and put one foot in front of the other.
I think I'm going to cry.
I think I'm going to cry.
That is so beautiful.
But also, do you know
That
something
is so
else
beautiful.
that's just that I firmly believe, right? And this is through this podcast. I was always a big believer in this when I was in work, because this is what I try to install in people, but it's never been more so prevalent than in this podcast. And we've spoke about it in every single one of the 10 episodes.
Yeah.
Is that I think consistency pays off.
Yeah.
Consistency in what it is that you're going to do. And when you take that first step, it's about taking another step and taking another step and taking another step. That's what consistency is.
Which is not easy, because obviously you go
it's
through
not
like
easy,
a little bit pain, you get a little bit sore, you get a little bit tired.
It's the same with nutrition. And
Same
that
with
old
everything.
saying is don't expect results immediately. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
You have to make those moves to get those results.
Yeah.
But once you get those results and you start seeing them, see the confidence it gives you, it's brilliant.
Yeah. You're like more confident now that you will get to the 10K, for example. For example, at the beginning, you would, if I ask you, like, would you want to do a 10K? You would be like, absolutely not.
I'm more confident I won't miss a train now.
You would definitely
I won't
catch
miss
the bus. Exactly. So you're more confident now that you will definitely do the 10K.
Oh, aye.
Right? So that is massive.
And I would
yeah.
never have said that, because the other day I came in and I said to you, I was running. Actually, I didn't even realise I'd done 7.5.
Oh,
Remember?
yeah, you did.
And I was like, I didn't even
Because
realise.
you're running by time, so obviously now you're getting a little bit faster, so you're covering more distance.
I just put the treadmill on for an hour, and I thought I'll just run, see what happens. And then I just stopped it, and when I stopped it, I realised I was at 7.5K, and I thought, all right, that was that.
Yeah.
And also, this is another thing, sorry, is that actually, no, what I didn't believe as well is see how when you're starting to run, see once you get the first couple of K out of the way.
Yeah.
You go into some mode that I never knew existed. Like, it's almost like nothing, you don't realise almost what's happening, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like you forget about time, you forget about things. I'm not watching the clock anymore. And actually, that is when I'm just putting one foot in front of the other and not thinking about it. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, so
and I didn't know that existed.
That's why I do it, I think. Because as you know, my head is always like, have you seen those TikToks probably? Or if you haven't seen them, just Google like one ADHD and there's like 10,000 tabs open. There's music in the background somewhere, but I cannot. Definitely, there's a dancing parrot somewhere. And I think that's how my brain is all the time. And you make fun of it. And I can even you can sometimes ask me like, what's going through your head? I'm like, I don't know. There's someone dancing. There's another one screaming. There's another there's so much going on. But when I go running, everything just is like, you just need to put one foot in front of the other, and that's it. That's all you need to do.
I don't think we've ever talked about your alter ego.
Merengita. I thought you were not going to say the name.
Merengita.
You put that name.
Merengita is...
when Merengita was born?
Oh, Merengita was born about 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? And Merengita is that
when did you meet her?
Is that I can see in Tania when I could be having a conversation, or she could be watching TV, or she could be doing something, and her eyes kind of glaze over and everything shuts off round about her, and she just becomes this other person. And you can speak to you like, what? It's like there's some kind of bizarre focus that goes on. We call
it's hilarious. Yeah, and you named her. I did. So that's another great advice, actually. Put a name to that extra voice that is hanging around with you, or the alter ego that is, usually around with you. Because
by the way, I wasn't saying that to give people advice. I was just saying to talk about Merenguita.
No, but that is advice that I would give to people. Name it. Name that person. Everyone has that voice.
Yep.
Not the voice of reason. The other voice that is
voice of reason
that is like, stop, you're going to hurt yourself. Just stop running. This is too hard. This is, we all have it. We all have heard it. We all know it's there. I would advise to give that person or that
person like
entity,
it's another person.
It's another person. In my case, it's another person. It has a whole personality and everything.
Merenguita's got her own wardrobe as well, just so you know.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, she dresses up a little bit wilder.
She dresses up a bit brighter.
Yeah, a little bit wilder. So it was like, who's coming out today? I'm like, Merenguita is out.
We're actually turning you into a bit of a psychopath now, aren't we?
Suddenly Tania so I would advise to put that name to that extra voice there that is mingling and second guessing you at every step and telling you not to do it because you're not good enough or you're too slow or too fat or too whatever, and putting you those shitty ideas in your head. Just put a name to it and say, whenever that person Merenguita wants to come out, be like, Merenguita is quite fun actually, but it is a bitch. It wants to come out whenever she wants to come out, and I'm like, I don't need you right now, thank you. So
I love how you're saying that Merenguita is the fun one.
She is super fun though. She is wild and she's insane, but she's also so scared of so many things. She's like, I just want to have fun, but I don't want to go to that dark side. I just want to stay in my
comfort zone. Merenguita's the one that likes tequila, by the way.
Yeah, what?
Likes tequila.
She likes tequila. Whiskey. So what I was saying? I forgot.
Talk about Merenguita.
Merenguita's taking over. She wants to get out. She's like, I wanted to. You're talking about me.
Maybe one day we'll have a podcast with me and Merenguita.
She is fun, but I was saying, so she's super fun because she just wants to stay in the comfort zone. So whenever I want to go do something wild, she's always there, but she's I can see her in the corner, just like this, with her arms folded, I'm not agreeing to doing this. This is going to be hurtful. This is going to be painful. This is horrible. I don't want to be here. I can see her, and I'm like, and then sometimes she stands up, I'm like, you shouldn't be doing this. This is too painful. Just go home. Or, in that 100-miler, she was out there for a while. She was getting also quite big and quite powerful.
Running beside you.
She was like, you know what, you should just go home. Just call the Uber, and it's just in your phone. And I actually opened Uber because I was about to call the Uber because I'm like, this is it. And I was like, no, you sit down. You know what? Not today. You're not going to win today. So yeah, it's just great to have a name. Your partner can make fun of you, and that's just So yeah, my name for my alter ego is called Merenguita.
Yeah, Merenguita is the fun one.
Do you know what? Do you know why? Do you remember why you put that name?
No, I do remember naming. No, but I can't remember why.
It's a candy in Mexico.
That's right.
So merengue. Yeah. It's meringue. It's meringue.
I think it's a dance of merengue, but it's a meringue. It's
a
meringue.
It's because we were in Italy, I think. We were eating meringue or something.
That's right, yeah.
A merenguita came out because I started singing and dancing widely. Yeah. And you're like, oh, shoot, she's out. And then she's like, oh, and then you said, oh, is that merenguita? I think I had a rush of energy just because of the sugar. And then she just came out just like that. And he's like, oh, hold on, this is not Tania anymore. That's merengue. And then you put the name because we just eaten meringue. So that was that's what the name. So that kind of stick. That was a couple years ago. So it was quite funny. But yeah, so it's so... So did I turn you into a runner now? Or is it too early to say?
I think it's too early to say.
Too early to say.
I mean, the truth of the matter is I do enjoy it.
That's all that matters.
I said that in a previous podcast that when I'm going to do my cardio days, I look forward to getting on the treadmill.
That is so dangerous to say.
But I tell you what, I don't like running outside as much.
I know, that's a downfall because I love Like that's why I could not run in it.
Your downfall, my saviour.
I know, like I want to be away from you now. Like if I'm running, like.
But no, I do. I wouldn't call myself quite a runner yet, but I think that
I don't call myself a runner either, so it's fine.
Yeah.
We can be just like pretenders.
Yeah, I would love to think that we can get to Cocodona and I can pace you, and I'm good enough to be able to do that at the time. If
I'll be
do
crawling,
that,
so anyone that can crawl
can.
can do it. So I'll be fine. You'll be able to crawl a little bit.
We can both have. Remember, you were saying that you have hallucinations after certain times.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be fun. Looking forward to that.
If I do a kilometre over 10 kilometres, I'll be hallucinating as well, probably.
I'm looking for like lovely pacers because I've heard from a couple of peers who've done the race and all that hallucinations are a thing, obviously, in those kind of races. So I'm like, I need a really loving partner or like a pacer with me because imagine
find somebody for you then.
Yeah, you need to be like, we'll talk about it. It will be a great podcast when we hit that stage of in a year. But I will give you like guidelines. Like when I'm hallucinating, just don't be mean. Just try, get me to a good trip.
Get you a good trip.
Just lead my good trip.
In fact, we've spoke to some runners who have told us some of the things that have happened on those races. Like guys wandering about, like chasing snakes that don't exist in the middle of a town somewhere.
So it's like you almost want to get to the race in a good mindset, in a good mind, like happy mind. Because if you are not in a good place and then obviously your brain starts hallucinating, you can get like a really scary hallucination. So it's almost like a trip, right? I've never been on a trip, but I think that's how like you need to prepare your brain to kind of like have happy and that make the trip a little bit more enjoyable and not a scary one. Plus I hate being scared, so I'm really scared of being scared, if that makes sense.
Meningitis all right with it though.
I know, I love it, like yes, get her. But I even don't like scary movies or anything. I just really don't like it. So I feel like I really need you by my side because if I start getting like scary thoughts or whatever, it would be so great to have you. Cool. So we're practicing. We have a year to get you to at least probably 20K, or if it's possible a marathon, that would be great because marathon. Oh, I spoke too soon. I'm going to spook him out. Don't get spooked. Just 10K is fine. You can.
Okay, let's get there first.
Let's just get there. I don't want to spook you. He's like, what? 50K?
In fact, I tell you how much Tania wants me to run a bit of longer distance, right? And it didn't start off like this. As I was saying to her the other day, I was saying, my ankle's a bit sore today after
Don't say what I said, please.
After running. And I said, I don't know what to do with it. You know what her reaction was? Tell them what your reaction was.
It.
Tell them.
You're going to think I'm a psycho.
Tell them what your reaction was.
Chop it off.
Chop it off. Chop it off and get one of those blades.
One of those
blades because it'll be really cool. And not only that, you might find that you like it, so you can chop the other one off and you have two blades and you can be really even faster.
Have you seen those pictures of Marathon des Sables?
Let's go back to that again. Chop it off.
There's a lot of people doing incredible things with those hooks. Like, I'm sorry for my I don't know the name of this thing.
Blades.
Yeah, the blades. So there is incredible people doing incredible things with blades, and you with a complete ankle, you're not, you can't do it. So
what makes you think that it would be good to have it cut off and have a blade? You only have that if it's a necessary thing. And even at that, what doctor do you think is going to cut off a perfectly decent ankle and give me like two blades? Oh, you would die. Meningitis.
Just give me a sword, or what's the name of it? An axe.
I know.
There you go. One day, maybe we'll wake up and...
Oh,
whoops, sorry.
It'll be like a movie Misery.
There you go.
Anyway, we're rambling on.
You were rambling on. But it was a rambling on podcast today. I feel so much into it. Last episode, I don't know if you watched it, but I feel like my brain was just like all over the place just because we were just coming back from the plane, and it was such a mess of podcasts. Like I was watching it or listening to it, and I was like, I hear myself so out of it. I was like, oh yeah. So sorry for that. I was like, it was an interview, so it was good because Sam was like speaking most of the time, but the two 3 words I was able to say, it was like, I was like too, but it's great to be back. I feel much more sharper.
You had 11 hours sleep the other day.
I know. So I'm back.
That's what you said after that. 11 hours sleep. I'm back.
I'm back. Oh yeah, I'm definitely back. I think I was just tired. That's why I was moody last weekend. But I'm back. I'm ready to ramp up the last couple of weeks of training and stay on the Instagram. We're going to be posting exciting things. And I have, like I mentioned, the camp going. I'm going to invite people if anyone wants to join me in the camp. Feel free. Yeah, or any stage, or if you want to do the 3 days or just 1 day, whatever you want to do. And I have some company with me. That will be brilliant. Please feel free to join. And yeah, keep yourself tuned. And
we actually may have an exciting podcast next week, but we'll keep that a secret at the moment.
We will see. Yeah, we only have 2 more to go, by the way, before we move to Dubai. And then we will try to keep everything posted and updated you, but during the move it's going to be a little difficult. But we'll do definitely one before the desert, just to have the last wrap up, and then I will disappear for 7 days, and hopefully I'll come back with the first medal. I can't wait to have that in my hand, and like show you guys, like, we did it. We did the first one.
Yeah.
We're like on track and 4 to go.
Yeah, because the exciting thing is the people that watch the podcast have been on that journey with you.
I know. Hopefully they're enjoying it as much as me, because I am loving.
I'm listening to his ramble on for an hour.
I know. Sorry, it was a ramble on podcast today. We may do a couple more ramble on podcasts next time. But have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Keep doing whatever makes you ultra happy.